So this is Tristan Ito for Mozilla, and I'm here today in Mountain View with Mitchell Baker, and I wanted to discuss with her and ask a few questions about the 2010 goals and things like that. So here is Mitchell Baker. Hi Mitchell.
Hi, Tristan.
So could you please explain why setting goals is important for our organization and how different we are in setting goals compared to other organizations?
Yeah. I've been working on this for a while, so I'd be happy to talk about it. The main thing that's important about goals is making sure that the Mozilla community is motivated to participate, and that what we're doing as an organization is something we're all proud of and want to be a part of. So many people, thousands, tens of thousands, donate their time and effort and energy. So we want to make sure that the broad directions that we're moving in are goals that motivate us, and that if we look up at the end of 2010, we're all happy with what we've accomplished. So that's one, and I guess as to why we're different or what's different about it, these are really high-level goals. They're broad goals. They're not management tools to track and measure people's performance. But these are aspirational, and that's because of the kind of community we are, which is thousands of people, each making their own decisions as to what's important about the web and what we want. So the goals are supposed to be something that people can say, yes, that makes sense to me, I want that to happen, I'm going to go out and do X. In a very distributed way where each person makes many of their own decisions about what they do, and yet we're all comfortable that we're moving in a general direction that's good.
Okay, good, excellent. That's a great introduction to this thing that we're doing around setting the goals. Among the different pieces in your blog post about these goals, I've noted that you had the individual development of community members. Can you elaborate a little bit on that? What do you mean by this?
Well, Mozilla, we live and die by the amount of people who care about our mission and our cause and an open internet, and so it's really important that people get involved. But of course, Mozilla's big, and so people find one aspect of it and they get involved. And what's important for us and for each person is that after you get involved, you connect with other people and you meet other people who are interested in what you're interested in, who are really great at technology, and that we share information and we share goals and we share ways of doing things. So that's a goal that says someone that gets involved in Mozilla on one piece of it. We have a lot of expertise and ideas and understanding floating around the world in the Mozilla space. And part of what we're trying to do is share that with as many people so that every contributor gets back at least as much as they put in. And as we all go about our lives, we take with us a lot of the things that we've learned from Mozilla. Whether it's technology or coding or how to work with people or messaging or the press training, whatever it is, that we take more with us as we go out into the world so that as we walk around, we are promoting the benefits and the values that we care about.
So to sum things up, you would say that, well, people contribute, in exchange they get a great browser, like pretty much everybody else, but also they learn things in a process that could be related to computing or communication or whatever, and so in the end everybody wins. That's
right.
Okay.
I mean, I can't say for sure that happens to each and every person, but
no, but that's the goal. We're talking about goals. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
I have a third question for you, which is, and these goals document, you mentioned the hybrid social enterprises. Could you define what you mean by hybrid social enterprises?
So I'm in an organization that's trying to achieve a social or a civic or a public purpose. So it has a goal or a purpose or a mission that isn't generate the most financial return possible. That might be, maybe that's part of it, but the big mission is something else related to social or civic or charitable or educational or scientific value. So it's got a social goal, social mission, and yet it uses market mechanisms to support itself, meaning it's not always doing fundraising, and that we measure our performance in our goal by how many people choose to work with us and use our products. And so that's different than a typical charitable organization, which relies on donations and cash donations. By relying on the market, hopefully we're more sustainable, and also we get proof that people like what we're doing. Okay.
So it's a mix of having a product that competes in the markets and generates revenue, but all of this is serving a broader, serving a mission rather than a shareholder. Would you agree with that?
Yes, that's another good way to say it.
Okay, excellent.
Right. Not all social or hybrid organizations have a product like we do, but they all combine the idea of some sort of offering that's got a mission other than maximum financial return, with a bunch of management and professional techniques that you often see in commercial organizations.
Okay, good.
I want to turn this camera around when you answer. Those answers. No way. I'm too ugly. It would kill the camera. One last question, and I'll leave you then. Is related to data. In the goals document in your blog post, I see that we want to help people. I'm quoting you. Help people exercise better ownership over the data. It's a bit abstract to me. So if you could explain us, or me in particular, what you mean by this. Sure. So when we started with Mozilla, we started obviously making a browser. And that was because that's the first thing you need to have an internet where I, as an individual human being, have some control over my experience. So now we have a good browser. But the next thing that I can see that's going to determine whether we enjoy and have a good time, an online experience that's good for me, is data. And by that I mean both personal data, who I am, my information, but also the information I create, all the content I create, whether it's on a social networking website or a photographic website. That's a lot of content that I'm creating, and so all of that to me is data. And if I have control and control the access and who sees that, then I'm going to have a much better online experience than if some of my data ends up in one social networking site, some of it somewhere else, and other people use it and control it. So the idea is that all of these things that we create now on the web, I should be able, the stuff that I create, to have some influence, if not control over it. And that is a little bit abstract, but at Mozilla we have the benefit that we create this product, the browser, and so much of this information goes through the browser. And so we have at our disposal, given the successes of Firefox to date, a very good tool to not be abstract and to put in front of people a product that says, oh, here's something else you can do with your data. Or maybe you store it in the browser and you dispense it to the different services. So it's a little abstract yet because we're still working on what are product features that would actually make this real, and that's why it's a goal for the future and not something we can point to. But that's the idea. Because in general, all this information, I should have a fair amount of influence, if not control, over what happens to it. And as we figure that out, the browser and hopefully our mail and communications clients will be really exceptional tools to put that in front of people. Now, that's probably too abstract, and you should.
No. That's great, and I'm learning a lot here. Mitchell, thank you very much, and I hope to publish this very soon on my blog. What are you doing? No way!